In Memphis, we know a thing or two about resilience. From the grindhouse to the Delta, we protect what's ours. But when pests invade your home, it's time to fight back. Grade A Pest knows how to handle what crawls, flies, and bites. With local experience and guaranteed results.
I'm Reggie with Grade A Pest Control. We service the Memphis metro area. That also includes DeSoto and Fayette County as well.
Grade A Pest has the entire Mid-South covered. So if bugs and pests put you to the test, let Grade A solve your problem. In Memphis, nothing comes easy, and that's exactly how we like it. This is a city built on hustle, on heart, on grit. And at Carway, our rides are built the same way. Tough, reliable, ready for the grind. No games, no gimmicks, just Memphis-style service. Real, honest, and built on trust. Where grit meets grind, you meet your next ride. Carway, grit, grind, and pink beetles. Bluff City Media presents Tigers Live with Francis Carlotta. Join Francis after every Memphis Tiger game as he breaks down each matchup, player of the game, and upcoming games. Now, let's get to the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Tigers Live. I'm your host, Francis Carlotta, joined by Kenny Stubblefield and Roman Clear, coming at y'all not after a basketball game, although I think we all wish we were doing this show today after a Memphis Tigers basketball game, after a win, preferably, because obviously we all would have hoped that the Tigers were in the NCAA tournament and we could be doing this show right after a game today or tomorrow, whatever. Unfortunately, though, we're not because of obvious reasons, unless you lived under a rock for the past, let's say, 5 months of the Tiger basketball calendar. Well, the Memphis Tigers did not make the NCAA tournament this year. They fell woefully short of all of the expectations that they had for themselves entering this season, and that's why we're here. A lot of discussions about Penny Hardaway's future. What's the relationship between him and Dr. Ed Scott going to be? What's the roster going to look like next season? Lots and lots of questions linger around the program as we enter this postseason, which we're in now. We're going to talk about them all. We're going to talk about the press conference that happened between Penny Hardaway and Dr. Ed Scott as well, and look ahead and give a little bit of an outlook for the offseason and next season as well. Kenny, Roman, it's great to see y'all. How y'all doing?
Hey, Francis, I don't know about you, man, but I think there's still plenty of March Madness happening in Memphis right now, personally. It may not be on the basketball court, and it may not involve postseason play or the NCAA tournament, but it's still March. You can definitely tell that for sure here in the 901.
Very good point. Thank you.
Not Roman. Francis, how are you, man? Like you've sent a couple of texts over the last couple of days. You seem quite conflicted, and I just want to know, like, being all the way over in San Diego, is right now, right in where we are right now with this postseason starting, or with this off season starting, and the way things went down, are you missing Memphis more than ever right now? Like wishing you could be here?
Always. I always miss Memphis. Every single day. I miss being in the city. I miss my family. I miss all my friends out there, especially during March, especially during basketball time, postseason basketball time, when Memphis is usually somewhat involved in a way, shape, or form. And it's such a great time to be in the city, and not even just for the Tigers, but for the Grizzlies too, with what is usually a berth to the NBA playoffs and a postseason run with hopes of doing something special with the Grizzlies also. So this is always a great time of year to be in Memphis, Tennessee, and I definitely wish I were. Overall, I'm doing all right. I think the emotions that I'm feeling they don't really stem from the season that just happened, Kenny. I've shared my emotions a lot, because we do this show. I'll let all y'all know how I'm feeling when I'm thinking about the game that just happened, about the season up to this point. But now the emotions I'm feeling are really about that press conference that happened between Penny Hardaway and Dr. Ed Scott. We can get into, the decision made to bring him back, but we know that's official. He's coming back to coach the Memphis Tigers men's basketball team next year. I was happy about that. I was very clear many times, y'all, that I wanted to have Penny Hardaway back for another season. And as I've said before, as Roman, you've said before also, next year, regardless of how it goes, it has to go well. You can call strike one the JQ year, the David Jones year. I'm paraphrasing what you said, Roman. You can call this season strike two, but next season there can't be a strike three, or else he's probably going to be out of here. So I was willing to give him another chance, another part. I wanted the at bat to continue to further the baseball analogy, and it is. And now I just have a lot of emotions.
This season would have been a full strikeout if Penny Hardaway isn't Penny Hardaway. Like if he's if he's John Smith instead, like this season's probably a pop out.
Yeah, yeah. So my emotions, Kenny, stem from the press conference, which we will get into.
Yeah, you said that JQ season was the first strike. I look back at the season before that. The 2 seasons before that. That 21-22 season was a foul tip to the groin. Is what that one was. Like you get a strike and you get a nut shot at the same time. Like that season with Jalen Duren, Amani Bates, Landers Nolly, Lester Quinones, DeAndre Williams, Alex Lomax. The way that season went down is as disappointing and frustrating as any of them, except for maybe this one, I think.
I mean, what? That was Penny's first tournament appearance and only tournament win.
That team should have been an Elite 8 team. Like that team had the talent to be an Elite 8 team. They had a major run.
Yeah, but they still went from 9-8 to winning a tournament game.
I feel you,
that's
brother.
That's not impressive.
Oh, it's impressive. That's his one tournament season or one NCAA tournament win in his entire 8 years that he's been here. So yes, I understand that. But I just look back at that roster and I just go, God, that was the team that should have done. They should have been in easily the second weekend, third weekend. Easily. That team was so good.
To me, that team for me is the 22-23 team with Kendrick and DeAndre. When you're considering those are probably the two best individual players that Penny Hardaway's ever had in his coaching career, maybe besides PJ Haggerty, maybe David Jones is also in that combo. But that team, considering the players it had at the top of the roster, its ability to compete with top-level opponents, and the path that it would have had to the Final Four, like that's that's the 22-23 team is the should have been team for me there.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I look at that roster and I see what those dudes are doing in the NBA now, and I'm like, good Lord. Well, maybe Jalen really.
Yeah, but you also got to remember Josh Minott was a bad college basketball player. He was like DeAndre Williams.
I don't know about bad.
DeAndre Williams was out for a whole month. Josh Minott had his opportunity.
No, he did not.
I don't agree with that.
DeAndre Williams was out for a whole ass month.
No.
Like someone should, you got to step up to the plate there, man. If DeAndre Williams out for a whole month and you still can't get on the floor?
Nah, bro.
No, like
Josh Minott. Go back and look at the game recaps of when Josh Minott did get to play multiple actual minutes in a game. He was super productive. Productive.
This was 2 seasons before I was covering the team, so I may not. I don't have the best perspective on that, but I'm just saying, man. Like,
I feel you.
if the best 4 on the team is out for a month and you still can't get on the floor, like that says something.
He did play. He did play during that time period.
Yeah. Well, but Kenny, you're not. I get where you're coming from, Kenny, and I think your emotions stem from a lot of also the off the court drama that came with that season as well. That it's whether or not how much you want to divulge is your call. But also, I feel like people know by now what happened with that roster behind the scenes, and all of that added up to what was a genuine what if year, what could have been year if there weren't all of the off the court drama and all the things happening behind the scenes, the distractions. Really, they were distractions. If all those distractions didn't occur, then could they have gelled quicker and then not have been put in an 8-9 game? When we all know the talent on the roster was way better than I forget. I think they were the 8 seed, so way better than an 8 seeded roster. But a lot of stuff, a lot of factors led to it. So I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. But that was multiple years ago. We have another super disappointing season to kind of walk through and just put to bed a little bit. This 13-win season was not a what did you say, Roman, the other day? The worst record?
The worst record in 56 years. The 13-19 this year. It's the worst since the 69-70 team went 6-20 overall. They suffered their longest losing streak of 7 games since 93-94. That team lost 8 games, lost 8 of their last 9 to finish the season. So I mean, it's not just Penny Hardaway's worst season by far in his tenure. It is legitimately one of the worst seasons in Tiger basketball history. That's what we're looking at right now. And I think that because of who Penny Hardaway is and the admiration and the love that most Memphis fans have, that many Memphians have, basically all Memphians have, to be honest, that aspect, that fact is being downplayed significantly.
Yeah, very well said, Roman. That, as we talked about before, there's no reason to shy away from the reality of this year. And we're going to get into the press conference, so I don't want to talk too much further about my emotions regarding all that. But I'll say just right now, this season sucked. It was terrible. Penny Hardaway himself called it a failure, which I appreciate him being able to call it for what it is. It was a failure on every single front, from top to bottom. Everybody failed. And that's okay to say. That's okay to say. Everyone's failed at some point. I've failed a lot in my life. A lot. That's okay. Everyone has failed at some point in their life. That's fine to acknowledge them and acknowledge the failure. So that's cool. But now the hope is that they can learn and grow and not make the mistakes that caused the failure of this last season. I mean, look, 13-19 is horrendous in the American Athletic Conference. To finish 8th in the American, lose in the first round of your tournament. That's pathetic. It's pathetic. It's a horrible, horrible season that I don't think, like you said, Roman, enough people understand how truly bad this year was. I mean, I wanted to talk about, some high moments of the season. And even when I look back, like the high moment of the season was Sincere Parker's 42-point game.
It was 40 points at UAB.
40 points?
A random 40-point game at UAB. I guess that is the high point, and that's just unfortunate. Like, and you mentioned, Francis, that everyone's failed in their life, and failure is okay, and that's certainly true from a general life standpoint. But Memphis, in these circumstances, has no business failing at all. They are the best funded team in the American. They are their brand is significantly higher than any other basketball program in the American. They're the preseason favorite. They have no business finishing 8th. They have no business finishing 6 games under 500 and losing the way they lost this year. This is like if the teacher slides you the answer key before the test and you still fail the test.
I've done that. By the way. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
I feel like you're speaking. You're talking about me, Roman. Stop it.
You got called out, Kenny.
Hand up accountability. That was me.
That's the type of failure this was.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say one of the highlights of the season for me was the first 15 minutes of that Arkansas exhibition game, the St. Jude game. It was cool to see the FedEx Forum packed out. Like, it was pretty packed out for that game.
It was.
The energy was really high, and those first 15 minutes, I was like, holy hell, this team is good, right? Like,
that's what you're thinking. Like, this team is good, man.
They were smacking Arkansas, right? And Arkansas is the SEC champion, this year.
Yep.
Like, they are. That was a highlight. That was a highlight for me. Then they turned around and played Auburn in an exhibition game, and that was a low light. I think they lost by 75 in that game.
Hey, but you got that cool Simon Majock behind the back half court dribble, and then dunk. Remember that? That was cool. That was a highlight for me personally.
I know it was. That's when you were like, Simon Majock's NBA ready. Let's go.
Yeah, it's funny that you guys mentioned those exhibitions, because what we saw in both those was really emblematic of what this season ultimately turned out to be, particularly with the poor effort and lackadaisical play that we saw for large stretches of both the Arkansas game and especially the Auburn game. And Penny said after both those games that there are some concerns with this new group. And in the presser before the San Francisco game, and he that's the same presser where he also said, like, they haven't set up the offense or anything. So the warning signs for what the season was going to be, they were there before the regular season even started. And, they start 1-4, but they looked competitive in Baha Mar. So you're thinking, okay, maybe there's still some life here, maybe some salvageability, if you will. But then as you got deeper and deeper in the non-conference, it was clear that the team wasn't up to snuff to compete with top-level power conference teams. But then even then you're thinking, okay, they'll just dominate the American and make the tournament anyway. So not who cares, but it'll all be fine at the end. And then, they start 4-1 in the league. So all going according to plan there. And then, that's where the downfall really started.
I mean, I think that Purdue game in the Baha Mar was one that we were like, I mean, this is a really good Purdue team, and Memphis hung with them the entirety of the game. It literally came down to, at the end, Roman, just Purdue being able to make shots and Memphis not. Like, it wasn't a lack of effort or even a lack of scheme or just Matt Painter completely coaching circles around Penny Hardaway. It was just Purdue has a bunch of guys that have played on their team for years, and they are very, very good, and they were the number one team in the country. And they hit shots and Memphis didn't, and ultimately Memphis lost that game. But I think all of us walked out of that Purdue game going, there is something here. Like, the Tigers have something here. As bad as that Auburn exhibition game was, as bad as because they had already lost to UNLV at that point, right? Am I wrong on that? Yeah.
Yeah. They lost to UNLV in the third game of the year. And that's the Tigers Live, where I told you guys that this season was not going in a favorable direction. You didn't believe me at the time, but
and I still didn't believe you after I still didn't believe you after the Purdue game. The Purdue game, I was like, well, they're getting it back on track, But
I, at the very least, Roman, I didn't want to believe you. Whether or not I believe, I didn't want to believe you. How about that? I wanted you to be wrong.
The thing is that, like, when you consistently show poor effort against teams that you are of equal talent to, that's a problem. Like, you're gonna try harder against schools like Purdue, because that's just what human nature and psychology is gonna do. But how do you approach games against teams that you should beat? Like, how do you approach the fifth game in your American Conference schedule? Like, that was the stuff that was really concerning. And ultimately, they folded down the stretch when times got really tough. They, like Ed Scott noted at certain points in the press yesterday, like, the team just did not have the mental makeup to endure the grind that is the American Conference schedule, where you are hunted in every game because you're Memphis, you're the big brand, you're the defending champion. I know that can easily be written off as like coach speak or whatever. But like that's a real factor. Like they repeatedly say that for a reason, because it's a legitimate factor, from a mental standpoint there. So like this team, just from a personality, mentality standpoint, they just clearly did not fit with what Penny Hardaway wants to do, and Penny probably didn't really fit much with them personally either. It was certainly a two-way street there based off of my current understanding. I mean, you saw suspensions, you saw a player get dismissed, you saw fines, you saw repeated instances of Penny calling out players, after games for basically not trying. The red flags were there from the beginning, and they certainly shined through to the very end.
Yeah, well said. I think the moment where the season became lost, the moment for me is Memphis at Tulsa, when Memphis was up 62-61 with 5 minutes and 11 seconds left in the game. Miles Barnstable goes to the free throw line for 2 foul shots. He makes those 2 foul shots, and after it is 62-63, the game ends with a final score of 83-66, Memphis losing by 17 points.
That good old 26-4 run. That good old 26-4 run.
With 5 minutes and 11 seconds left to go in the game, and then they score 4 points after that. And I think that is the moment that this season changed on a dime immediately. All the good vibes from whatever, because before the Tulsa game, Memphis was 4-1 in the conference before the Tulsa game. And then they go at Tulsa in a game that Penny Hardaway was hyping up pretty big in his radio shows, in his appearances. He was like, this is like, I'm forgetting. It's like, this is a proven week for Memphis to prove that we are
separation week.
Separation week for Memphis to separate themselves from the rest of the American. Well, Penny, this team did separate themselves from the rest of the American, but they did so in the wrong direction, in the exact opposite direction than the way that he was hoping for this team to show separation from the rest of the conference. Because then they lose at Wichita State by 15, and yeah, they beat FAU by a lot, but then after that, as we know, Memphis just loses all sort of hope in the conference. They go on that insanely long losing streak, losing 8 of their last 9, and that's the season right there.
Yeah, they gave up that 26-4 run to end the Tulsa game, and then they get a 4-0 start at Wichita State, but then proceed to allow a 29-4 run, somehow topping themselves from the end of the Tulsa game. Those 2 games were definitely where you saw a downshift towards the bottom of the barrel. Yeah. It wasn't rock bottom just yet, but that's where you really started to see the downfall begin from what was already not a good season.
Yeah.
Was that the game? That Tulsa game was? Did we do it? We did a.
That was one of the Mugshots games.
That was the Mugshots watch party game. Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, maybe the last one.
That was when Mugshots was like, "Yeah, we're good."
I get it. I mean, shoot.
I don't blame him.
Shoot. Yeah. I get it. Like that was the definition of disheartening. that was disheartening to watch for anyone who supports the Memphis Tigers. And I really don't want to keep dwelling on the season any much longer. It is what it is. The season happened, for better or for worse. It happened. 13-19, 8th in the American, losing in the first round of the American Conference Tournament to Tulane. And now we are where we are at. Dr. Ed Scott and the athletic department, they decide to bring back Penny Hardaway for one more year, at least, right? At least one more season, depending on how next year goes. So Penny Hardaway is the coach of the men's basketball team for the University of Memphis next season. A lot of y'all were asking on comment sections, in the comments below the video, like, what do y'all think? Is Penny going to come back? Is Penny going to come back? All 3 of us were very clear that, yeah, Penny Hardaway is going to come back. Whether or not that's the best thing for the program, that's debatable. But he's going to come back, and he did. And now we have the press conference that happened just yesterday between Dr. Ed Scott, with Dr. Ed Scott and Penny Hardaway. Media was there. Kenny was there. Roman, you were there as well.
Can we talk about this? Before we get to the actual nuts and bolts and the meat of the press conference, I want to talk to let Roman and I kind of like lay out the scene for everybody.
Please.
All right.
Yeah, please.
If you've never been inside the Laurie Walton practice facility, it's a gorgeous building. You walk into the front foyer, and it is basically a shrine to Memphis basketball. It is a really nice place where they have all of the Hall of Famers in Memphis basketball, the guys from Memphis that have played for the University of Memphis. They have pictures of Keith Lee, of Penny Hardaway, of Larry Finch, of who are the other players that are up there?
Is Andre Turner one of them? That's there?
Andre Turner might be one of them.
I think Elliot Perry's up there.
Elliot Perry.
Elliot Perry's definitely one of them. Yes.
Yeah,
I think it was Elliot, not Andre Turner. Elliot Perry.
Socks. I apologize. I don't know why.
You have the Finch statue out front in front of the building as well.
I mean, it's just a really beautiful building, and they use it for a wide range of they have like revenue generating events that happen there in the lobby. You'll see, they can set tables up in there, and that's where we normally do midweek press conferences, is in that front foyer, that front lobby right by the stairs heading up to where the offices are for the coaches and all that. Behind the glass partition where we normally sit is the locker room, is the practice courts back there. You see the hallway where the players go from, the workout rooms, training sauna areas, all that kind of stuff, which Draymond Green, I don't know what to tell you. The Tigers have a sauna, cold pool, hot pool. They have all that there. I would suspect that the Grizzlies do as well. But it's a really a nice place. And normally throughout, our times that we go there, Roman can attest to this, we walk into the front lobby, the front foyer, and there is chairs set up with a table behind in front of a backdrop, a University of Memphis sponsored backdrop. And that's where Penny Hardaway and the players come out and talk. Now, this season, we haven't had one of those since December, right? Like, we haven't had a midweek press conference since December. December. We haven't had a chance.
Before the Louisville game.
We haven't had a chance.
One again after that.
We haven't had a chance to talk to players or Penny Hardaway since December. And
other than post games,
and most of those post games were after losses. So you're not going to get a very happy Penny Hardaway during those press conferences. And so then we walk in. So yesterday, I'm fully expecting to walk into the foyer, and there is the setup there, because I knew there was going to be a bunch of media there. I knew that there was going to be people that normally don't come to media events were going to be there. And if you walk in there, you'll see to the right, there's this glass room that's relatively small. When Penny first was hired, they would have all of their press conference scrums really in there. And it's where, when you see the videos of Penny Hardaway saying F Rick Barnes and we want all the smoke and all that kind of stuff, that was where those press conferences were happening. They were happening in that little room. So I walk in yesterday and I look over and they've got the entire setup in that little room again. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting, because they haven't had that in multiple years, Francis. Like, they haven't had that. That room has been basically empty for multiple years.
And they used it one time in 24-25. But besides that, never used it again.
Yeah. So we go in there and it's packed to it is full. Very closed in. I'm a big guy. I was very claustrophobic. It was very uncomfortable. in that room.
You can see in the video people walking in the frame of the shot. Like it seemed cramped even in just the filming of the press conference.
Yeah, it was. Roman, were you cramped and uncomfortable during it?
I mean, it was a little cramped, but I mean, I'm a slim guy, so I can handle it. I can handle it.
Dang.
That's a jerk.
Nah,
I wonder, did he just call me fat? I think he did.
No. No. We're talking about me personally here.
Oh,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah.
And then, so we're in there, and Roman, am I wrong to say that even before the press conference, there felt like there was some tension a little bit in the air? Did it feel tense in there to you?
Yeah, no, the vibes were certainly not nearly as loose as they normally were. Like usually, we're all of us reporters or media members or whatever you want to say, like we're all chopping it up, right? It's relaxed banter. We're laughing. It's just a very collaborative environment. For business is business once Penny comes out and we get to work then. But other than that, it's a very loose, relaxed, chill, environment there. That was not necessarily the vibe, at the Lori Walton facility yesterday. I think we all were expecting some bombshells to go down, and I think all of us mentally were kind of in that place walking in as well. So yeah, there was certainly some tension, if you will, going on.
Well, and Ed Scott even acknowledged it at the beginning of the press conference. And I don't know if, I don't know who complained, but apparently there was a lot of tension around the fact that Ed Scott ultimately made the announcement about Penny Hardaway's return on the Gary Parrish show the day before nobody sent out, it wasn't an open gaggle for all local media to be a part of. It was literally an exclusive to Gary Parrish, which shout out to Ground City Media and Gary Parrish for getting that.
Yeah.
But
personally, I have no issue with that.
I don't either.
I mean, personally, I understand from Ed's perspective why he felt like he wanted to have a more conducive environment to be able to just say what he wanted to say. Because the day before on Monday, that's when they made the official announcement that Penny was going to be retained. And then Gary was Ed's first interview since after that. And that's where, he was able to go on and, tell, his whole story, his whole side of things. And I think part of that is that he knew that tomorrow or Wednesday or yesterday, it was going to be Penny. Penny was going to undoubtedly be the focus there. So I would say that was likely part of it. So, I mean, I apparently there was some frustration from the media side that Ed went on Gary Parrish first. I was definitely not part of the group that voiced frustrations about that, because there really weren't on my end.
Yeah. So Ed and one of the things they did do that I thought was super interesting is about an hour before the press conference started, we got an update on the email about the press conference with a highlighted portion that says nobody can live stream this press conference. Which
nobody's been live streaming pressers for over a year.
Well,
for over a year.
Yeah. Whatever. Which I thought was interesting because that's never been a part of the rules in that's not been a part of there's usually just go behind the fourth wall. When we get these invites from the Memphis Sports Information Department to come to these events, they'll have rules for all, how this is what you do. And there's standard operating rules. When you sign a contract to be a member of the credentialed media that covers the University of Memphis, you have to sign a paper that has those rules in place, right? Knowing full well, this is what you can and cannot do. If you break these rules, these are rules that can get your credentials revoked. Right before this press conference started, a new rule was put in place. We cannot live stream. So that was also a unique thing. I thought that was interesting. I don't have any commentary on it other than to say that was just an interesting, last minute development, to add to that. Like, I wonder if somebody, like if some of the news channels were going to live stream it. I don't really know, but that was my take. But anyway, now we can get to the press conference. We can get to the meat and bones of the press conference, because you've seen this, Francis, and you have a lot of thoughts, and we have a bunch of clips we can play and kind of walk through it and just get your thoughts and your feelings on all that was said.
Yeah. Well, I mean, y'all know me. I like to at least start off conversations with a really broad question. Start with a 50,000-foot view, and then we can start narrowing down as the conversation goes on. So, from both of y'all, then I'll give my answer to my own question after I hear from y'all. But let me know. Let the people watching the show know, what were y'all's genuine thoughts on the press conference as a whole?
I mean, I did On Beat yesterday with Sam, and I made a lot of my thoughts on this whole ordeal very clear. So, I mean, I'd rather, be able to give you and Kenny the floor to be able to, give your thoughts on it a bit more. I mean, just basic thoughts on my end here. I mean, I thought Penny certainly helped himself more than not in most areas. I mean, there were certainly some things, the vulnerability and the raw emotion that we saw from him, I think can certainly prove, beneficial, and can definitely give off, goodwill. Because like Penny has always been honest. He's always been blunt. He's always been transparent and forthcoming about how he feels about things, but he's never shown us this vulnerable, just raw emotional side of him really at any point, seldom a few moments until yesterday, and where all of it just really came pouring out. I thought that was, certainly the takeaway from everything that we saw yesterday. I do think, there were two specific areas where he just looked, just not great overall in terms of, just kind of complaining about media coverage yet again. I just don't think that necessarily is the best look overall. I know he gets heckled by national media guys a good bit, and I can certainly sense the frustration there. And honestly, I don't even really blame him for feeling the way that he feels, or even saying the things that he said. Like, I'm not gonna necessarily like blame him too much for it, but it's just not a good look for him, probably, considering where things are right now, and having the audacity to say that this was the best coaching job he's ever done. I know that there was certainly some controversy surrounding that comment of what it actually meant. Like, let me tell you, like, Penny Hardaway's not a guy that minces words, guys. He's really not, unless he's talking about players being sick or rotations. He's just not going to beat around the bush too much, right? He's going to say what he means more often than not. I can certainly probably agree with him that it might have been his hardest coaching job. Like, that part is probably true, again, considering the circumstances of what he faced this season. But to refer to it as his best, I mean, if you want to call it impressive that he willed this team to 13 wins, you can. Maybe some coaches wouldn't have been able to do that. I don't know. But just saying that publicly, that's just not ideal either. But again, like, I do think that this press conference produced more good than bad for Penny overall.
Yeah, I think I had to take a little bit of time and just kind of process my thoughts, because as Roman eloquently stated, I do understand Penny's frustration with how he's treated and covered, specifically by national media. Like, I don't know, like, unless he's like reading too much of Twitter and the kind of people that have followings on Twitter that purport to cover the University of Memphis basketball program, that is where the character assassination and really negative things were said. But in terms of like the local media coverage, I don't think I can't think of one person, and I don't really care about the only person I care about in local media that covers this team is Roman Cleary. Like I don't care about any of the other guys. Like I don't care what they say, what they do, whatever. You mess with Roman, me and you are going to have problems. Like that's where I stand on this. But so I'm not here to like stick up for anybody else that covers this team. But I don't think I heard anybody say, shut up, Trey. He said, what the F, Kenny? You're not media. You're a content creator. But when it comes to covering this team, I don't think I heard anybody say anything about any character flaw, like any character assassination of Penny, any even calling for his job, really. You know what I'm saying? Like the only thing that I would say is if he heard what Gary Parrish said on his show, that if this were any other school with any other coach, this tenure probably wouldn't have lasted 3 years, 4 years. I agree with what Gary Parrish is saying there. Like, look at all these other coaches that have been getting fired after 3 seasons who like have similar postseason success as Penny Hardaway, right? Like a lot of guys are getting fired for doing more in some ways. But it is okay to say, and I think this, not to defend Gary Parrish, but it is okay for Gary to say, like, but this is different because this is Memphis and this is Penny Hardaway. There is a clear, different standard when it comes to Penny Hardaway and Memphis, and that is fair. It is just the way it is here because of who Penny Hardaway is to the city of Memphis. But like that's the only thing that I can think of, and so I felt like that part of his, it was to be expected that was going to come out, that he was going to say something like that, but it definitely felt. And I just want to say this again. I'll say this as well. It is not. And I know this sounds crazy, and it is not Roman Cleary's job to promote Penny Hardaway. It is not Roman Cleary's job to stand united with the University of Memphis to promote this basketball program. It is Roman Cleary's job to report on what is happening within this program. And whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's pretty, whether it's ugly. And I don't, there is a level of, and I said this on Tigers Live a couple of weeks ago, and we have a clip of Ed Scott saying the very same thing. This program has been run with a level of amateurism for a very long time. And part of being an amateur program is thinking that everybody needs to, like even the media that covers you is supposed to be amateur. Like it would be amateur of Roman to be a talking shill for the University of Memphis basketball program. Like Roman is a professional. He's very good at what he does. All these other guys that cover this team are professionals and they're good at what they do. It is not our job to promote the University of Memphis. It's not our job to make sure that these guys are playing well. It's our job to report on what's going on. Like that's all I can say. And I've not seen a single time this year where I've seen any of the coverage from anybody in the city that covers this team be inappropriate in any way, to cross the line from reporting on what's going on in the University of Memphis to more of a personal character assassination of Penny Hardaway. I've not seen it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've not seen it. And so I understand his frustration, but I think it's a misplaced frustration. And I think it's kind of dangerous to do this. Like, I think Penny knows what he's doing when he does this. I think it's unfair to target people whose job is to cover this team, because you've seen what's happened in the last couple of days, even with Roman's Twitter account since that conversation came out. Just people going nuts, blaming Roman for the failure of this basketball program. It's not cool. I don't like that. I think that's unfair. And I think it's amateur. And I hope it stops. I hope it stops. I really do.
I'm not going to name any names here because there's just no point in doing that. But like, I just want people who may not be in our business to fully understand. Like, if you're going to make, if you're going to accuse a reporter of misquoting someone intentionally, or like, taking a quote out of context on purpose in an attempt to get clicks or whatever, I need you guys to understand how serious of an accusation you're making. You are directly attacking our journalistic integrity when you do that. It's a shot. It's a shot in the behind. It's a stab right in the chest. So I just hope you guys fully understand the exactly what you're doing when you do that. It's just not appreciated at all, especially when it's just not true.
Yeah. So that's kind of my initial takeaways. I will say this. Ed Scott, Ed Scott's in charge now. This is his athletic department. That press conference was a very clear, to me, reorganization of the power structure of the Memphis basketball program in terms of who's in charge and who's not. Ed even said it, and we have a clip of it where he talks about it being a more professional. I'll play it right here. Let me bring it up.
Do it.
Yeah, what he said, and on top of it, that's part of the reason we have to move faster, right? NBA front offices, and I've met with NFL GMs, I've met with NBA GMs because I need to learn, right? If we look at the structure, to answer your question, I'm the owner. Tim Duncan is the president of basketball operations. He's the head coach. What we were missing was a general manager, somebody who could be scouting all year. There's guys on social media right now who are going in the portal, right? Even though we can't talk to them yet, we need to be scouting them. So when the portal opens, he says, look, I want to go after these three. So by doing this, Jeff, to answer your question, it allows us to expedite our process, be way more efficient with our resources. And the one thing about me is I like change, right? Terrence has been with me a long time. There's only one thing I don't like changing, and that's my email. I like Outlook, and when they make me go to Gmail, I get all upset, and he's got to deal with it, right? But outside of that, I love change because change makes me better. And so with my ability to embrace it, with Coach coming around saying I need help, we looked at our model and said, wait a minute, this model ain't going to work anymore. It's the definition of insanity. If Penny keeps doing the same thing he was doing over and over again, he's going to get the same result. And if I don't help him change our organizational structure, we're going to get the same result. The beauty is that we came to that realization independently and then came together and said, yeah, man, we got to do something different. And so, yes, it's going to look much more like a professional organization, whether we like it or not. That's the world we live in now. And if we're going to win, then we're going to have to do it the right way in order to compete at the level we want.
I mean, he said it. It's a pro-style organizational structure now where Ed Scott's the owner. Tim Duncan is the president of basketball operations. They need a GM, and Penny Hardaway is the head coach. There was a very clear, to me, that was Ed Scott's press conference of saying, I'm in charge now. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we'll see. But this program has been run, the Memphis basketball program for 8 years has been run as its own personal little fiefdom of like, whatever Penny Hardaway wants, he gets. Whatever he wants to do, he can do. There is no accountability amongst the athletic department. There's very little accountability. There's not even really a check-in, and this is previous to Ed Scott. The athletic department prior never even checked in, hey, how are things going? What can we do to help? Hey, let's make sure you're handling the rules the right way. Let's make sure you're not breaking any NCAA bylaws, things like that. There was just whatever Penny wanted to do, he did. He walked with impunity. And I feel like this press conference was a press conference stating that will no longer be the case. Penny Hardaway is the coach. Ed Scott's the owner. This is a professional environment now.
Yeah, and several aspects of that the professional organization is going to be, I guess, including here at Memphis, if it is going to be more of a professional style organization moving forward. I thought that was interesting, and it's something that I wrote about this morning. Apparently, they're going to be implementing some kind of AI system into the transfer portal that allows Penny Hardaway to, just I guess just kind of trim down, the players that he's looking at based off of exactly what he's looking for. They're recruiting an on-campus professor, someone who specializes in AI and automation to, build this program or this system for Penny and the basketball team. So that's certainly interesting, and I guess like a step into the new age, if you will. And also they're getting people to help with the character evaluation side of it more as well, and that's of course been a big issue in 2 of the last 3 seasons. So those are 2 of the big steps that Ed mentioned to like get this closer to a professional organization, I guess.
Well, I think y'all laid out a lot of really interesting things and takeaways from the press conference itself, and I'll touch on them. I'll touch on them because I think there are positive takeaways that you can get from the press conference. I think what you just said, Roman, are some of the positive takeaways that I actually kind of liked hearing about the AI stuff. I'm not even an AI guy. I'm not a big fan of AI straight up, but every school is probably using some sort of AI program to help their analytic department and help their scouting and help just streamline their process of bringing in talent. And if it can be used properly, which is, I guess, my stance on AI, if it can be used properly and ethically, then yeah, go for it. So, and it seems like that is their plan to try and help out the program, bring in talent. Cool. Like I'm all for it. I'm all for them trying to move the program in a forward direction. I'm for that. I also liked when they talked about how the urgency that Penny Hardaway has to act with bringing in talent on the portal, but also not just the portal, but with the staff. Penny made it clear that he hopes to have staff brought in within 7 to 10 days. And that's the urgency that Penny and the athletic department as a whole, if Ed Scott is the owner of the team now, I guess, considering what you said, Kenny, then it's the urgency that they all have to move with. And that's music to my ears. Kenny talked about it before where he was adamant that things will happen fast. Roman said the same thing as well. That's music to my ears, and that should be music to y'all's ears also, because they need to move quicker. Last season's mistakes in the offseason cannot happen. They cannot wait months to bring in a full roster. They can't. Not in this day and age of college basketball. They got to move quickly. They have to identify talent quickly. They have to do talent evaluations quickly. But not just that, they got to evaluate the mental side of these players quickly as well, which we all know can be difficult. But they got to do so in a quick manner. So, there were positive takeaways. I also think, Kenny, with your point about the whole restructuring of the athletic department and of the team, I think we all know that this was Penny's team for the first 8 seasons of his time coaching. The buck stopped with Penny. He basically did, as Penny even said, he did it all. He handled all the coaching duties, and Penny's now even trying to delegate that away to assistants. He's willing to bring in an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator. Penny went on a rant talking about how he thought every other coach did it the same way, that he thought that every coach is drawing up their own plays and doing it all for their team, but that wasn't the case. He mentioned Matt Painter, seeing Matt Painter on the sideline and then them calling a timeout and then seeing that someone else besides Matt Painter was drawing up the plays. That reminded me, and I love hip hop, it reminded me of Andre 3000 did a feature verse where he was like, I thought everyone wrote their own raps. Like that's what I thought, because I always wrote my own raps. Like ghostwriting was never a thing to me, but that's like Penny saying the same thing. And so now he's trying to delegate the process to other people. That's what I want to hear, because Penny, if he's going to try and do everything, and if he's going to try and be Mr. Do-It-All, it's not going to work, and it hasn't really truly worked up to this point. I wanted to ask you this question, Kenny, before I move on to my other thoughts on the press conference. Penny said in the press conference that he didn't understand the business of basketball enough, and he didn't understand it really that well. He ignored things that he should not have ignored. That reminded me, Kenny, of when you brought up on a Tigers Live that Penny isn't doing the things necessary to get support from boosters, from donors, from people who can give the NIL money to the program and all that stuff. Is that kind of what he's talking about? Like, he's not doing the business side of coaching this team, and now Penny's trying to acknowledge that he's got to be different in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, Ed Scott actually talked about that in the press conference. He said, we have dinners already scheduled with boosters and donors. He said in the Gary Parrish interview that Penny needed to be more vulnerable with the boosters and the donors. And I saw a lot of people say, like, take that as a real negative, like, oh, now you want Penny to dance that dance, right? And I'm like, guys, this is called politicking. This is what you do in the position that you're in, right? Like, I think that the vulnerability, using the word vulnerability there was really, like, interesting to me, because it felt like there was, what I hear from this is a level of standoffishness from the people that want to support this program, that have been supporting this program for years and years and years, that want to support this program in a way that almost like they're not being allowed to, if that makes sense. But because there is a sense of, from the head coach, I don't need you. Like, or I am Penny Hardaway, you should just do whatever you'd want to do, even if I don't acknowledge it and talk to you and engage you in this program, right? Like, there's so much that could be done to, like, really engage the boosters and the donors, to make them feel like they're a part of the program, to actually engage them into the health and the prosperity of this program. And it's super simple stuff: phone calls, invitations to practice, hey, seats next to the bench, come to the games, do this, here's this. There's things that can be done. And from what I gather from what Ed Scott is saying in this press conference is he's acknowledging that we have to do better in that regard. He also brings up something else that I think is massively important. I'm going to play this right here because as much as they like to complain about the local media coverage of Penny Hardaway, I like that Ed Scott brought this up about how the University of Memphis publicizes Penny Hardaway.
Well, let me just add on to that. One of the things I think that we talked to Coach about, and I said this yesterday, is there's some areas we can do a little bit better for Penny, right? We don't show enough behind the curtain sometimes on Penny. And that's where the perception issue, we talked about this, right? I asked him, how do you think you're perceived? He gave me an answer, and I said, well, there's some ways that we can help you with that, right? We don't put out enough from practice. I hear a lot about Penny's not demonstrative enough on the sidelines. I told the story of why he's not, but if you see him at practice, it's a different ball game. So how can we open up practice once a week, right, where some students can come, where some media can come? There's some adjustments that we can make on our side to expose him in a different way that a lot of y'all just don't know him. Right? And I've been lucky to be able to see it because I come to practice and those kind of things. So it falls on his shoulders. He's the head coach. You heard his words, right, in front of me. But at the same time, when I'm looking at what we're doing to support him, I'm talking to Terrence, I'm talking to Michelle Earhart, and I'm talking to some other folks and saying, how do we position Penny a little bit better from a PR standpoint so it's not just post-game sound bites, right? That's the other thing that we have to do as we work together to try to move this thing the way we want it to go.
I cannot tell you how important that is for Penny Hardaway. Like, the University of Memphis has to do a better job of, like, fighting through that innate desire, that ingrained desire of Penny Hardaway to be secluded from everybody, to not trust anybody, to not want anybody to be. There are a ton of people at practice that have nothing to do with anything that can help tell the positive story about the University of Memphis basketball program. The fact that there was only, for the first 3 seasons that Penny was here, there was only one practice that was available to us as media to go to and watch them practice, to be able to tell stories about practice, to be able to shoot film at practice. And that was an event that they did with the Rebounders Club. We were allowed to go in for that. 2 years ago, that was removed. There are no practices that we're allowed to go see at the University of Memphis.
Yeah. I've been to 2 total practices during my 3 seasons on the beat. I've been to 2 total practices. And that's not me complaining. I'm just stating it as a matter of fact. We talked about what the layout of what the Lori Walton facility looks like earlier when you walk in. There's the lobby, the foyer, straight ahead, and to your left are the practice doors that go straight, to the court. I've gone through those doors twice.
So there's a large media group that works with the University of Memphis basketball team that there's very rarely anything put out about what goes on behind those closed doors. Like in the day and age in which you live, in the day and age in which we live in college basketball, college sports in general, when you do have new players and with Penny Hardaway, new staff every year, and you do have the only consistent person is Penny Hardaway in that facility every single year, you've got to be able to tell the stories of these players. And if you're only getting post-game sound bites, that is not enough. And so, yes, like I think Ed Scott is saying this, and I confirm this. The University of Memphis has done a disservice to Penny Hardaway in helping Penny Hardaway tell the story of his tenure and the players that play for him. The fans complain about not knowing these players. Well, there's a large contingency of media that would love to help the University of Memphis Tiger basketball fans get to know these players.
Yeah.
And they haven't allowed it.
Y'all are wrestling fans. Romy, you're a big wrestling guy. What is WWE? What is wrestling? It's storytelling.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That is what captivates people. Great stories. That will always captivate people. It's captivated people since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And if
without promos, no one would care about wrestling.
Yeah. But like if we're not able to have the access to players and even to Coach Penny Hardaway that fans are craving, even boosters are craving, then I understand where you're coming from, Kenny. It's definitely something that needs to change, and hopefully it does change moving forward. So, I did like hearing that. And like you mentioned about how Penny acknowledged that he wasn't doing the business side of things. He even said that it was his own pride is part of why he wasn't putting himself out there. He may have thought, like you said, he didn't need to. But he does. And I didn't know people were saying that, Kenny, that people were saying like, oh, like now he's just going to do all the song and dance for all these people. I didn't know that was out there in the ether. Let me say this right now. Y'all, if you don't play the game is going to play you. It's that simple. You got to play the game. You've got to. And what is the game? Talking to boosters, garnering support, making sure you have people in your corner who will back you and support you no matter what. You got to play the game. And if you don't, then you're losing the game. So if people really believe that, man, that's tough, because as the head coach of the men's basketball team at the University of Memphis, you've got to be able to connect with the people who fund your program, who fund your team. You got to connect to your fans who are going to pay their hard-earned money to go to the FedEx Forum in the middle of January in an ice storm to go watch Memphis play Rice. You have to engage your fans. You have to engage the boosters who support your program. You got to put in the legwork and do the necessary things. You've got to. So if doing the necessary things in your mind is like, oh, he's now tap dancing and playing the game, no, that's the wrong thought process. Penny has to do these things for the betterment of the program. He's got to. He does. And the fact that he hasn't been doing that is part of why we're here. So yeah, that's how I feel about that opinion regarding this whole situation. Kenny, go ahead, Kenny.
No, you go ahead.
I'm asking you if you can to play the monologue of Penny, and then I will share my thoughts on it.
Okay. I think, and I do hope today that my words come out not as a complainer or being playing the victim of any sort, but I do understand that to me it's a one-off. I've done well, whether it's been published as not doing well in the first 7 years, first 8 years, or whatever. I feel like I haven't won in the NCAA tournament, but my regular season scheduling against some of the top teams around the country has been well.
That's true. Like, he's been successful playing harder schedules than most G6 schools that are out there. Would you agree with that, Francis?
100%. Maybe all, frankly. Like, I agree with that. No question.
Yep.
I'll start off with that. So it was me just trying to really grind out this season. I felt like it was the best coaching job I've done and the hardest coaching job I've done to just try to get 13 wins. But to answer your question, I think that
that's the statement that Roman hit on. He said those words, right? Like, that's what he said. The best and the hardest. I think, and
those are two different things. They don't mesh together.
They don't, which is why I think they were misused, if that makes sense. I don't think that was. I legitimately think there was probably some internal struggles behind the scenes with this team that we don't know anything about. He was dealing with his star basketball player in courtrooms the entire year, right? Like, he was dealing with having to fine Aaron Bradshaw, having to kick Hassan Abdul Hakim and Zach Davis off the team, ultimately bringing Zach Davis back. Like I legitimately, when I heard that, I would tell you, my opinion is, I don't think that he necessarily was meaning this is the best coaching job I've done in 8 years. That it was more so the fact that we made it to the end of the season without tearing each other apart. Yes, we got 13 wins, but that's probably 10 more than what we probably should have gotten. That's how bad the situation was.
He starts with saying hardest, and then he stumbles over his words and goes out of his way to say the word best.
Well, yeah.
I don't think he's talking. I agree it's intentional. I don't think he's talking about the 13 wins, the 13-19 season is the best coaching job he's ever done. I don't believe that's what he means. I think he means that more so.
Well, he said it. He said it. Yeah. He literally said the best coaching job I've done. Literally. Like, that's not paraphrasing. That's not hyperbole. That's quite literally what he said.
Well, there's layers. I think there's layers to what he meant.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. I understand. No, what I'm trying to say is the best coaching job he's done with the talent that he's had and all the behind the scenes stuff that whatever has gone on that, like you said, Kenny, we don't fully know and probably will never know. This was the best coaching job he's ever done to get to this point. And I still believe when Penny retires from coaching, I think he'll state that the best year he ever had coaching was probably the year before, was probably last year. I think he would say that in reality.
Well, I hope not. I hope he has better years.
I hope he has better years still. Yes, I guess. I meant like if he retired tomorrow. But
okay, there you go.
Yeah. But no, the way I interpret it is with everything that was going on, with all the behind the scenes stuff, that this was the best job he's done. And I understand that that is a very loaded charge thing to say. Should he have said that? Probably not. But frankly, I don't even really, me personally, that's not the part of this monologue that gets me. That's not the moment that
no, it's not the part that really see, the thing is that's not the part that gets me either. It's the part on my end that ended up going viral, but it's not the part that ended up getting me either.
No,
it's
I hope
when he says he will die for the program. It's when he says that he looks at Memphis like he looks at a 5-year-old, like a 5-year-old boy looks at his mom, or how a 10-year-old girl looks at her dad. That's the highlight. That's the part that should get people.
Yeah. No, I don't think anybody. And I hope like, just candidly, between there's the 162 people that are in here watching this and us, I don't think you took anything out of context, Roman. I just think there's layers to what he said. Like, I just think there's layers to it.
You just got to put a product on the floor, and you got to give them a vision, in my mind, that it can change and it will change. I mean, it's just, to me, this year was a one-off. Nobody liked it. I didn't like it. it was nobody wants to win for this team in this city more than me. And I just don't feel that around the city that everybody's saying we gave up on you. I think the narrative was clear from the media on what it was, but I didn't hear this from every fan at the end of the day. So I know we have work to do. I understand momentum. And, I talked to Ed about that. And at the end of momentum, the U and the M being capital for the University of Memphis, we need that. But we also need help from you guys. We never post anything that I do well. Honestly, I never get
It's not true.
a lot of stuff
I want you to
posted
finish.
well.
I want you to finish this part, and yeah.
That controls what happens around the city as well, because they're hearing from you guys. So for me, if we're going to do this together, I feel like it should be together, not just University of Memphis over here, the media over here. I feel like the entire city needs to embrace winning if that's what everybody really wants. We want that. Why don't y'all want that? And if I'm at the helm, why does it have to go opposite? So I don't see this as separate. I see this as together. I'm ninth grade walking on this campus from Binghamton. That's when it started for the people who aren't from Memphis. 10 minutes north of here is I walked this campus before this campus even knew who I was. So that's where my heart was from the beginning. And that's where my heart is still now. So to me, to try to disrespect that and erase that and not embrace it, to tear it down when I'm looking around the country and no one else with my record is being torn down or not being embraced. I'm not going anywhere with this except for trying to tell the truth. And I'm fighting through it because I do understand that I have accountability and that I'm supposed to be paid to win. I'm paid to win games. But then the narrative is always bad. No matter if I lose one game, then it's the worst game in the world. If I win 20 in a row, I'm supposed to. It's like everything is being thrown at me, and I'm just taking it with a smile, still respecting everybody. I'm not an asshole. I had one situation with Jeff when he asked me a question at a very vulnerable time, and I intentionally went there because I meant what I said. But this point right now, man, from somebody who's a hometown guy that's fighting for this city, that really wants this city to win, nobody's hurting more than me. Getting beat up by the media on every single thing, every outlet is negative, and then I have to fight that. My mom asked me the other day, why does the city hate you? The city doesn't hate me. The city doesn't hate me. It just takes one fan to hug me and tell me that they love me, and I'm going to war for that one fan. That's just what I feel here in the city. And Coach, and it only takes, we could just talk about 298 more. You know the movie 300? We need 300 people to believe. We'll take the 5,000 on that don't believe. And we want the entire city to be together. That's what this team was built on, bro. Coach Finch and that team built it on the city. Why isn't the city together? We haven't done anything but do our jobs and try to work. It was a failed year, but we learned a lot. How do we grow from this? I'm here now. How do we grow the entire city, not just us against the media or us against a few people that want to see me gone? I feel like I'm the perfect guy for the job because my care factor is off the charts. I feel like I've done a good job of winning regular season games and not a great job of getting us where we need to go in the NCAA tournament. But I feel like with the support that he is going to give me and that they're going to give me and that they continue to give me, I just need the support of the city. So to answer his question, it's just basically, why is it always negative and not positive? That's what I want to know. That's just where I am because I don't say anything. You got to understand, to be here, to love this city, I look at this city like a 5-year-old boy looks at his mom. I love this city like a 10-year-old girl looks at her dad. Like, I really will die for this. And for people who wouldn't die for this to be able to write what they want to write and put me in a position to make me look like I'm not a good person, I'm not a good coach, I don't make any excuses for what's happened, for what I've failed at, but I know I can come back from failure. I haven't made any excuses. I see everything that's being written, it doesn't bother me. But when it starts to affect how my character is being portrayed, I've been nothing but respectful to everybody. I don't go at anybody for writing anything. I'll let you have you do your job. I've never done that. And for me to see what's going on around the country, for guys to be praised for not making an NCAA tournament in 7 or 8 years and they get another year, for guys to have one NCAA tournament win and get a P4 job in 15 years, what's wrong with me? What have I done wrong? In my city, where everyone knows that I'm going to be here after. If I'm fired, I'm still going to be here fighting for this school, fighting for this city. Y'all might be gone, but I'm going to be here. So why am I the bad guy?
All right. So It's funny when Penny talks about the Jeff Calkins thing, where he said Jeff caught me at a vulnerable time. The question that was asked of Penny Hardaway was from Devin Walker. Shout out Dev. He essentially said, "How do you inject energy back into the city?" Was essentially the question. That question then led to what y'all just saw. Penny kind of answered that question when he talked about you just got to put out a good product, and he said, but to answer your question, I think you just got to put a product on the floor. You got to give them a vision in my mind that it can change and it will change. This season was a one-off. Nobody liked it. I didn't like it. That was Penny answering the question, and I agree with him. He's got to put a product out on the floor that this city can get behind. This season was not that. Nobody really could get behind this team. Nobody, because of the product that was on the floor, the basketball that they played. So I agree with Penny. He's got to put out the right product. Outside of those few sentences, Roman, Kenny, I'm not exactly sure if any of that was related to the question. I'm super serious. I don't think any of that was related to the question. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just calling it how it is. That was Penny at his most vulnerable state since the Jeff Calkins interaction, without a shadow of a doubt. Penny, and I said this on the show, there is every fiber of my being that believes that Penny hates what's going on this year, not just for the city, not just for himself. I'm sorry, not just for himself, not just for his players, but for the city. He hates what's going on for the city, and I promise you it's wearing on Penny Hardaway. That right there, that monologue that everyone just saw is proof that this year has really, really worn on that guy. And this was his moment to let out those emotions, to let out the things that he's been feeling. He did so very clearly. He let out his emotions very, very clearly, laid his heart out to everybody, the whole city of Memphis. And what his emotions were, he made them very clear. He feels like there's some us as the University of Memphis men's basketball team versus the media thing going on. I don't understand why so much of Penny Hardaway's mind is devoted to what the media is saying about him and about the team and about the players itself. I don't really understand that. One, what does Penny Hardaway want? Does he want an echo chamber of yes men and of people who are always just going to praise Penny, no matter what is going on with the team? Is that what he really wants? And if so, if so, Kenny, that's not productive or conducive or positive or helpful to literally anybody. To anybody. Anybody. Accountability is one of the most important things in this world. And if there isn't anybody holding Penny Hardaway accountable for what has gone on throughout his time coaching this team, then that's a problem. Roman, you said it's incredibly well about journalistic integrity. Like that whole idea is literally being, and this is me getting on a tangent. That whole idea is getting stripped away from this country as a whole. There are way too many people who just want to hear from the media what they want to hear. Way too many people. And unfortunately, Penny Hardaway seems to be one of those people. That he just wants to hear from the media covering the team exactly what Penny Hardaway wants to hear. Penny Hardaway was like, I don't want to seem like I'm coming off as a victim or like I'm trying to make excuses. But man, I don't really understand how that is not how you come across when you try and blame the media for the faults of the team, for the faults of you. He goes on this whole tangent. He says, we need help from you guys. And he's talking to media. We never post anything I do well. I think he meant to say you, but whatever. I mean, honestly, I never get a lot of stuff posted well. That controls what happens around the city as well because they're hearing from you guys. So for me, if we're going to do this together, I feel like it should be together. Not just University of Memphis over here, the media over here. I feel like this entire city needs to embrace winning if that's what everybody really wants. We want that. Why don't y'all want that. And if I'm at the helm, why does it have to go opposite? Penny, it doesn't have to go opposite. It doesn't. First of all, why are you trying to put the onus on the media to help this team be better and more successful? That's not the media's job. That's not the media's job to do that. You're the head coach of the men's basketball team. That's your job. It's not Roman's job. It's not Kenny's. It's not mine. It's not Jason Munn's job. It's not Parth's job. It's not Gary Parrish's job. It's not John Martin's job. It's not Trey Lasley's job. Shout out Trey. It's not TJ's job. It's nobody's job who covers this team to have the city come together and embrace something and embrace a product that's not good. That's not our job to do. I don't understand why in his mind it's us versus them. It's not. And he's trying to say like, oh, let's all come together and let's make this better. What are we supposed to do? We don't sign the players. We're not the ones bringing dudes in from the transfer portal. We're not the ones on the recruiting trails. That's not us. Like he even asked, how do we grow the entire city? Not just us against the media or us against the few people who want to see me gone. Penny, frankly, there isn't a we in this conversation. It is a you, it is an Ed Scott, it is a Tim Duncan, it is a University of Memphis thing to help put out a basketball team that's going to win games. That's not our job. We're not, if we talk about what we see on the floor and be candid about it, we're not trying to be divisive at all. We're just calling what we see. That's all we're doing. Penny, you asked, why am I the bad guy? Penny, you are not the bad guy. You're not. Frankly, Penny, you never have been. You never have been. We love you, man. The city loves you. Everyone loves you. You are not the bad guy at all. The bad part is that team that we just saw last season. That was the bad dudes. Those dudes on the floor. But you, man, you're not the bad guy. No one's rooting for you to fail. And yes, are there some weird, odd pockets of a fandom that wants Penny to fail? Maybe. But even then, I don't even call them real Memphis Tiger basketball fans. They're not real fans to me. If you're really rooting for Penny Hardaway to fail, you're not a Memphis Tigers basketball fan. You're not. You're not. Don't even call yourself one. You should never be rooting for the head coach of your program to fail. Ever. But even then, it's still a vocal minority of people. The majority of people love you, man. You're not the bad guy. We want you to succeed. I've said this a million times. There's nothing more that I want to see in my sports life fandom than to see the men's Memphis Tigers basketball team win a championship under Penny Hardaway. Nothing. You're not the bad guy, man. And I don't want Penny to pretend like he is. Like there's just this massive group of people that wants him to fail. No, there's not. He did the 300 comparison. Like, I just need two guys to come up to me and tell me that they support me. Penny, you've got tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people rooting for you. I don't like when you frame it that way, Penny. And if you're watching this show, I hope you're listening to me, man. I don't like when he frames it in this way, like it's him against everybody. No, it's not, man. We have your back. We want you to succeed, period. And so seeing that whole thing it made me feel a type of way that I didn't want to feel. It made me feel angry because I know that Penny's just speaking from the heart and he is just laying it all out for everyone. And I fully respect that 100%. 100% respect Penny Hardaway letting us all know how he's feeling. I'm just sharing my thoughts on what he said and my feelings on what he said and the way I feel, it's not great because I just don't want all that energy in Penny's brain to be devoted to such negativity. There's other things that he's got to work on. There's other things that should be at the top of his mind. It shouldn't be what the media is saying or how the team is being covered. That shouldn't be it. So those are my thoughts.
I think that monologue and your the video clip and your takes on it have kind of brought everybody out to a conversation, and I want to bring up some of the comments because I completely understand your frustration, Francis, and I'll just say this I think he does it for a very specific reason. I think he does it to engender the kind of response that Roman Cleary has gotten over the last 24 hours, a level of emboldenment to accuse a young man who has spent thousands and thousands of dollars at the University of Memphis to get a journalism degree, who's gone to high school in Memphis, who has grown up in Memphis, who has family here in Memphis, like all of us do, to be accused of being an outsider who needs to leave town. Like that's the kind of it's a taking away of the target away from himself and shining it on somebody else, an easy target, right? Like an easy target of media, which is his right to do, but it puts guys like Roman Cleary in a very vulnerable position, and I don't like it. I think it's unprofessional and unfair. I think that's on purpose, and I think he does that on purpose. But I also do think he believes it. I think he believes that he's treated unfairly. I do believe that. But Ill Subliminal on Twitter said, all athletes need fuel to stay motivated regardless. And he says, I'm not trying to be a penny apologizer, but I do think he says stuff to get in his own head. I really don't think Memphis media is that bad. It could be a lot worse. That not posting comment is vehemently false. That the not posting good stuff comment is vehemently false. Brad Crow says, yeah, that was lame. Truth Wins Out says, just because his coaching gets criticized doesn't mean we don't love him. He's just in over his head. His teams have flamed out every year. It's insanity to think next year will change. I think he admitted in this press conference that he has been in over his head because he's been trying to do too much. Right. Yeah. And I really hope that is what everybody is seeing, that yes, Penny Hardaway, that you have millions upon millions of dollars at your disposal in resources and in money to rev share money to help get players here to the city of Memphis. You need help. Right. And I think Penny's admitting he needs help. Will it change? We'll see. But the stuff that was laid out in this press conference makes me think that things could change, right? Like things could change. Himgy Winsmoke comments on a lot of the shows. Shout out to Himgy. Says, it's the media's job to tell the whole story. No one talks about how the Memphis job itself isn't as good as it was in the past. We hold them to the Calipari standard when that's impossible in this league. I don't think anybody's holding him to the Calipari standard. I think they're holding him
not at all.
I think they're holding him to get into the tournament and win some games in the tournament. Like I don't think that's unfair.
That's more than doable at Memphis. It just is.
Yeah. And shout out to you, man. I always appreciate all of y'all who watch the show. I encourage you, Himgy, to go watch our last episode of Tigers Live, where I talked about what should be the expectations of the team. And we had a great discussion about what the expectations of the men's basketball team at the University of Memphis should truly be. I said that the expectations should be to comfortably make the NCAA tournament. That's all. Like between a 5 and a 7 seed, maybe even an 8 seed, depending on, some things here or there. But just to comfortably make it. I'm not expecting Sweet 16s. I'm not expecting Elite 8s, Final Fours, whatever, like we got from Cal. Those should not be your expectations. Those are too high. I really believe that. But your expectations should be to comfortably make the tournament, win your conference. And if you win your conference and you do what you should do out of conference, then you'll comfortably make the NCAA tournament. And I think those are fair expectations to have. Now, if your expectations are to be a bubble team and then just to make the NCAA tournament, those are your expectations, I think those are too low. Those are too low of expectations to have. Your expectations should not be to just barely make the tournament. That shouldn't be it. It should be to comfortably make the NCAA tournament. But that's not the Cal standard. The Cal standard was making a Sweet 16 just by breathing. Those were the Cal standards.
being
And
top
that's what he
10,
did.
top 5 in the country,
Yeah.
which let's be
Yeah.
fair. Let's be fair. That he was, how many years was Calipari here for? He was here for 8 years,
It was
9 years.
seasons.
Yeah.
9 seasons.
He only had those level of successes 3 years out of those 9 years.
He made the
Four,
last 4 years,
right?
4 Sweet 16s, three straight Elite Eights. But before that,
Yeah,
his
4.
tenure was very mediocre.
Yeah.
He had to win an NIT just like Penny did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If Memphis just comfortably makes the NCAA tournament every year, like Francis has laid out, if they just live up to that expectation every year, they're probably going to make a run at some point. Just like off of just odds alone. If you just get into the tournament every year, you're probably making a Sweet 16 at some point. That's probably going to happen.
Like even last year, the expectation of the team, they went 29-6 and won the regular season tournament, or won the regular season, won the conference tournament, played in the NCAA tournament, lost the first round of the NCAA tournament, and for a lot of different injury reasons, whatever you want to describe it. But there was not a single person walking away from that season that was like, damn, Penny sucks as a coach, right? Like not a single person. We were celebrating. The one more thinking PJ Haggerty was coming back and Dane could get a waiver and we're going to run it back and it was going to be as awesome as it has been. Like that this is what we're seeing. Like that was Penny Hardaway's best coaching job in terms of how he managed rotations and used a weaker bench to to supplement the guys that probably the best starting 5 he's had in a long time at the University of Memphis. Like just a really, a really good coaching job by Penny. There was not a single person that was walking away from that going, oh, he didn't make the Elite Eight. Well, he sucks. Like, right. Like that. I think that's fair to say. Let me see. Himji also said any of the coaches at any other American athletic school would have had the record that Penny has had, would have received Power 4 offers, but we don't talk about that. We pushed to fire him. It's a red herring. Like, I don't know how to, nobody pushes to fire Penny Hardaway. Like, nobody on Bluff City media has pushed to fire Penny Hardaway. What we've said is we get it. We understand if they make that decision. I don't think anybody on Bluff City media has said he needs to be gone. But I think what has been said is there needs to be accountability for what's happened this year. You don't have a year like this year and go unscathed, if that makes sense. Like there has to be some accountability for what has happened. But I don't even know how to, that just seems like what's the word I'm looking for? Not hyperbole, but like a narrative that's out there that we don't know that to be true. Like we don't know that if any other coach at any other American Athletic Conference school would have had the same record Penny's had in 8 years that he would have received. And secondly, we don't know that I can say with strong certainty Penny Hardaway has received Power 4 offers. Absolutely has. And he's turned them down because he's a Memphis guy.
Yep.
Like it's not like Penny Hardaway's here because he hasn't had anybody else asking for him. Like everybody thinks that Orlando Magic situation wasn't real. That was very real.
No, very real.
Yeah.
He
was never, say, the front runner for that, but it was a possibility. And there have been possibilities at the power conference level for sure. None of that have really been all that far or that serious, but there have been possibilities.
I'll tell you one in particular. They used to be in the American Athletic Conference. UCF in Orlando. UCF in Orlando has wanted Penny Hardaway to be their head coach for multiple years now, and Penny has said no.
Yeah, I didn't know if we were going to actually go that far, but UCF was certainly a conversation not too long ago.
Yeah. Look, we've been doing this show for a minute now. Almost an hour and a half.
We got a ton more clips we can go through here. Listen, I get it, man. Nobody likes John Martin. I get it. I think John has been I like John. I got a lot of love and respect for everybody that comments in these and watches our stuff. But I just don't I can't. I just feel I get frustrated that we're held to an account for what John Martin says. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
that
and he don't
frustrates
even
me.
speak. He don't speak for all of Memphis media. He don't. It's not even. I don't even think me saying that is a diss towards John Martin. He don't speak for all of us. Like
John Martin's a very
don't-
strong and prominent voice that came up in the media ranks when he was very young, and someone in my position especially could certainly respect that. But he doesn't speak for everybody. Plenty of respect towards him and his brand, and he has every right to voice what he feels. He certainly earned that right throughout his career, but it doesn't speak for everybody.
Yeah. It's just paint with broad strokes here that's not necessarily fair to us because, anyway, because it really angers me that Roman has had to deal with what he's had to deal with today. Really angers me because one guy who has lineage in sports media decides to pop off and quote tweet and bring everybody out like that. I mean, and he works for a media company. Like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? Anyway, we have a bunch more clips we can go through. I will say, are you guys good to keep going? I mean, we can keep going if you want to.
I gotta leave. I gotta leave soonish.
All right, soonish.
So-
Let's play. I do think, and this is no meaning other than I just think I thought it was a really odd part of this press conference was how many times PJ Haggerty's name was mentioned in this press conference. That was wild to hear them talk about PJ Haggerty as much as they did. Here's the clip.
We're prepared to make PJ a very lucrative offer, right? I think Penny's been honest about this, and I said it yesterday, and I'm saying it in front of Penny Hardaway so y'all all can see it. I wish that he would have gave them a deadline by, if you don't respond back to me by a certain day, I got to move forward. Well, I think we both learned from that. I wanted PJ Haggerty back.
That motherfucker still got eligibility, and they're talking about him. I'm like, I wanted to be like, time out. Stop saying his name. Like, stop. Anyway, that was crazy.
I did. I mean, the guy's a 22, 23-point-a-game guy, right? The city loved him. Fans came out, right? He had a good experience at Memphis. PJ won more games at Memphis than he's won anywhere else combined, if I'm not mistaken, right? And so that's the part that I think we can do better together is where I got to say to Penny, you got to move. Because if you don't move, I have to check him on that. And he's got to be okay with that, right? But I also know why he waited. So I think what we can do and what we can do is make sure that he's got the resources. What I believe Penny needs to do is make decisions on his roster immediately. And, to my satisfaction, to be completely honest, he had meetings with the players right after he met with his assistant coaches the other day. And he told them all, from my understanding, and you can correct me if I missay anything here, here's what I expect your role to be next year. Here's what I think we can offer you because this is the type of team that I'm trying to build. And if you want to come back and be part of that, then that's great. But if you don't, you have until a certain date to let me know because I got to build a roster.
That's exactly true.
So that's what we can do, right? I got to put a little pressure on him to be like, P, we got to move, right? That's what I call him, P, we got to go. And he's got to be willing to poop or get off the pot. And we just don't have enough time. We have 14-day window in the portal. And the other piece was we were working, when I first got here, we were working with NIL money, which was collective outside money. Where I can help him is we now control the rev share side of that. I sign all the contracts for the student athletes. And so I'm able to help him with the infrastructure and with the resources so he can make decisions quicker, which we have to do in this environment. Because if we don't, we're both afraid we're going to be in the same position we were last year.
There's more to this clip, but thought it was wild. Like, do you think PJ Haggerty knows how much he screwed up this season for Memphis? The fact that how many times his name has been mentioned in post-game press conferences and end of the year press conferences, and it's wild to hear his name.
Yep. But as Penny Hardaway himself acknowledged, it's not PJ's fault. It's really not. He was going about his business. Like he never said like I'm going to decide by this date. Penny's the one who didn't give him a deadline, as he admitted himself.
Yeah.
I would give PJ a bit of wiggle room as well if I were him, considering the talent that he is and the winning impact he made on the 24-25 Memphis Tigers. Like that's certainly more than fair, but completely sacrificing the rest of the roster and passing up on multiple really talented players in the portal, not pursuing them as seriously as you could have in favor of waiting on PJ Haggerty, like that it was just a mistake. And perhaps the biggest mistake that led to this season being what it was.
That segment was a prime example of what I'm talking about when I say Ed Scott's in charge now. He signs the paychecks. He's in charge of the rev share. There is no outside collective anymore. Everything that comes in, Ed Scott has control over. He's the signator of the rev share bank account. That was absolutely I'm in charge now. This is my ship. I'm running it. Penny Hardaway, you're the coach. You steer us the right way, but I'm the captain, right? Like that's what that was. And we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes. Like you hear Penny talk and you hear a level of vulnerability right now, and it feels like part of that vulnerability is coming because I think he realized, and Ed Scott said it in the press conference. I came to him and said, what about this year? What are we doing here? And his response was he had a plan. And if he hadn't had a plan, we would have had a different conversation. Yep. I think Penny Hardaway realized he was very close to losing his job this offseason. Very close. Yep. And the fact that he brought a plan to the table that was basically the plan is I am ceding over control over everything except for the in-game stuff. What's happening in the game. I'll coach the team on the floor. Y'all handle everything else. Will it work? I really, really hope so. I really, really hope so. But we'll see. Penny talked about letting his ego down. I think that is going to be a battle he's going to fight for the rest of his time here at Memphis is fighting that ego.
Amen. Yeah. No, 100%.
Can Penny live in the power structure that's been put in place by Ed Scott, the athletic director at Memphis, at the University of Memphis? We shall see.
Yeah. And I think those words, Kenny, those questions, we shall see. That's literally going to be in every Memphis Tiger fans, every media member's mind, everybody who covers the team, everybody who watches this team. That's going to be on our minds for the next, at the very least, year, at the very least, maybe even longer. We'll see, man. I think that's the $1 million question that only time can really answer for us. So, I don't really have much else to say. Y'all got anything else before we get up out of here?
I just want to say shout out to Roman for the incredible job he's done this year covering this team.
100%.
I've said it publicly. I've said it privately. I think he's the best in the city at what he does. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does. I think he told the stories as best as he, with the small amount of opportunity that he had to tell the story of this season. I thought Roman did a great job of telling the story of this season. And I really hope you guys stick around, and I hope we can convince Roman to stay on board with Bluff City Media, because I know folks are calling him. But I am excited about if this thing opens up and more storytelling opportunities are allowed. I can't wait to see the story Roman writes next year. It's going to be incredible.
I appreciate that. I mean, every season I've been here, 3 seasons, they've brought something a little different. You saw the collapse in 23-24, the bounce back in 24-25, and just the disaster, the catastrophic disaster that was this year. So I mean, it's I always appreciate the opportunity, no matter what this team brings, and I'm excited for the future, and I've been happy to be a part of the show as well.
Yeah, no, thank you, Roman. I love you, man. Always. I appreciate you for all you do, for everything you've done thus far, and you will always have my support going forward. Always, no matter what, man. Always, yeah. So shout out to Roman. You're the man. Everyone go to his Substack, subscribe to him, read all the awesome stuff he puts out. This offseason is just beginning, y'all. This offseason is just beginning. It may have felt like the past 72 hours have been felt like a decade, but there's still so much left to go.
Tomorrow we're probably going to start finding out what players are coming back or not, right?
Exactly.
Tomorrow's the deadline.
Tomorrow's the deadline.
The penny set anyway.
That Penny said.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that's crazy is here's how I think that conversation went. I know we want to get out of here. Francis, you need to get out of here. This is my last bit. Here's how I think the conversation went. Hey guys, you suck. And you're more than welcome to come back, but you're probably not going to play and your pay will be commiserate. Do you agree or do you disagree? Let me know by Friday. That's how I think that conversation went down. And I think there was probably some conversations of you ain't ever putting on a Memphis jersey ever again, ever. In the history of ever, you're never putting a Memphis jersey on again. Shout out to you. Let me know by Friday what you think. Do you want to come back or do you not? Do you want to come back? Do you not want to come back or do you want to be kicked off the team? Which one?
Yeah, at the very least, that was probably the conversation with a few of those guys. At the very least. So I mean, shoot, Friday is the deadline to if people are going to come back. We'll see, man. Like there is still so much to cover. There still isn't a staff, so we're going to find that out over the next
in a week,
7 to 10 days. And then the transfer portal opens right after the national championship game, and if Penny Hardaway and Ed Scott,
now, boy,
get some sleep. This is going to be hectic for you, man. This is just the beginning. So everyone, please.
I don't think people. I don't think people realize in-season coverage is honestly easier because you at least have a general idea of when everything's going to be, what the daily schedule is typically going to look like. Midweek presser when they're playing well, it's going to be here. A radio show, unfortunately, is every Monday. It sucks, but it's every Monday. So you're taking care of that. Games, obviously, there's a rhythm, there's a flow. Once you get in the portal season, that disappears, and you are just you're just on alert until it's over and you're not.
Yep.
Well, we might try to do once we start to figure out some of these things. I'm sure we'll send the bat signal out to Francis and have him come back, and we'll do another Tigers Live as we start to discuss some of these roster and the assistant coaches and rosters and all that kind of stuff. So, I was told by my nephew, who is a Briarcrest student, that because Penny Hardaway is back, Fred Smith Jr. will be at Memphis next year. That's what I was told. But he's also 15 years old, so he probably didn't know what he's talking about.
It's long been the assumption that both Cello Jackson and Fred Smith Jr. were going to be a part of next year's team. Cello's obviously committed right now. Fred Smith is not. But again, it's long been the assumption that both will be Tigers next year.
We'll see. No, I mean, look, I'm excited. Like you said, Kenny, when the news starts coming in, when there's a lot, when we got to talk about everything that's going on, we will be back in the offseason to talk about it all. I appreciate both of y'all so much. I appreciate all of y'all for tuning in to this impromptu Tigers Live. Without, y'all probably didn't know that you would be watching us talk Memphis Tigers basketball on a Thursday night. So I appreciate all of y'all for tuning in, listening to us talk about this team and everything that's gone on recently. To everyone in the comments, thank y'all. Kenny, you're the man. Y'all can find Kenny at Kenny_BCM. Find Roman on Twitter at ROA Clear. Subscribe to his Substack, please. That way you're up to date with everything that's going on with Memphis Tigers basketball. For Kenny, for Roman, I'm Francis Carlotta. We will see y'all next time very soon. Peace.
Thank you for watching this episode of Tigers Live. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. We'll see you back here next time.